And again, since you can buy Sims 2 again, I'm gonna share with you some tips and tricks to help you get into the game. User startup cheats. First of all, remember that the game was released in 2004. When you enter the build by mode, you can be surprised that you can rotate objects in just 4 directions. When you enter Documents config, you can find file named user startup cheat. Open it with Notepad and you can add here cheats that will load when the game starts. Bullprop allow 45-degree angle of rotation true lets you rotate objects more freely. Show catalog EP flex tells you which expansion pack objects come from. Don't merge Flora, I think makes the game more stable. Max num of visiting Sims 60 lets you invite more Sims to the parties. You can type any number you want. Usually your neighborhoods won't have a lot of Sims to invite. The second part includes the aliases. They are shortcuts for longer cheats you can't bother to remember. First three allow for even more freedom when building. Pink soup comes from me using for some time the mod from Lazy Duchess that was changing the way pink soup behaves. Move objects, you know what it does. The last two cheats are meant for more advanced building. I don't know the full potential of those. The can mode section comes from a lining mode I use, and you don't need this one if you don't have it. Hidden cheats. I personally don't use family funds as a cheat when I want to change the amount of money my family has. I just type all menus on, money, all menus off, which is the quickest way to do it for me, because I don't waste time on finding objects or same named families. Don't use in-game screenshot option. I mean, I can't forbid you from doing so, but the screenshots taken that way will have low resolution as it's an old game. Don't worry about neighborhood corruption. It's a long thing to explain, but when you research the topic of The Sims 2, you will stack upon dozens of posts, articles, videos about things you shouldn't do in the game. Examples include saving when you on the phone call, deleting custom careers, deleting families from the bin, etc. According to those articles, doing those things will result in so-called neighborhood corruption, and it had been for a long time a Sims 2 horror story. In short, don't be scared by those articles. You can do those things safely. If you are more interested on the topic, you can watch April Black's video about it. Pink soup is natural and is hard to avoid. When playing for hours, your game may look like this. Or even this. Windows 10 and 11 will give you those type of glitches. In the long run you can't avoid them, no matter the PC specs or CC used. When this happens, you should save your game, exit and remove the thumbnails. If you get addicted to the game, you can always install Linux when it's harder to get it. I recommend going with Fedora, OpenSUSE or PKOS for beginners. Get a sim manipulator, sim blender or inseminator. The next thing I'm gonna talk about are the mods. One of the must-have are these three mentioned. You don't need all of those. They are to The Sims 2 what UI cheats and MCCC are to The Sims 2 and Master Controller to The Sims 3. Don't use Intin or Wild Child. On the topic of mods, I don't recommend using those mods in your game. Their main purpose is to allow teenagers to get pregnant. The issue with those mods is that they are conflicting with many others, resulting in a less stable game and bugs. These mods can also be hard to get rid of later. Another mod I'd rather avoid as a beginner are pollination technician defaults. If you know what you are doing, you can use them, but you shouldn't remove them later. Tumblr is your best friend. Sims 2 community on Tumblr is amazing. You can find many great creators. Some will convert stuff from the other games, others will give you great advice. You can find many ideas for a gameplay, challenges, etc. If you are looking for more stuff to add to your game, you can find many CC files here. That will reblock stuff you may like. You can make your game look however you want. You have to admit, the game looks beautiful but dated. Low quality objects look bad on HQ resolution. You can find a replacement for almost everything in this game, from hair, skin, clothes to even stupid things like TV pilot. There's many subgenres of the game graphics, from True Maxis Match to Sims 4 Maxis Match or to more alpha approach. The most common one is like Maxis Mix, when it's like not very alpha but it still look quite appealing and modern. The choice is yours. Game generated Sims will have the same 18 faces. The Sims have never been good at generating stuff. The Sims 4 goes crazy with that. Sims 3 has pudding faces at default. In the case of Sims 2, the base game neighborhoods are overrun with premates and townies sharing faces, which are one of the 18 face templates. If your game generates a townie, it will have one of them. The exception from this rule are newborns. They are usually a genetic mix of townies. If you are having 2 or more kids with one pair, the kids may look the same. It's a long story to explain, but in the default environment, the game creates a genetical sequence and the kids might have the same face and personality, which is called firstborn syndrome. If you are using RPC by Lazy Duchess, this won't happen. You can try rotational gameplay. You don't have to use spreadsheets. One thing about The Sims 2 is that there is no story progression. You can play one household and no one in the neighborhood will even age. During 20 years of existing, players came up with a solution called rotational gameplay. That means the game when you play every family in the neighborhood for the same amount of days to simulate the time progression. A very common thing for players is to keep track of it by using the spreadsheets or papers to keep in check with which families have been played in a rotation. It's not a necessary thing to do. Don't pay for CC. Sims 2 modding community is different from Sims 4. Creators usually don't do the paid CC anymore. You can rarely even find early access. AdFly is only used by the shady types. If you stack up on a creator like this, run. Don't get your CC from LindaSims. This creator in particular makes paid CC that's often broken, unoptimized, and might break your game. Avoid PleasantSims at all cost. It's a long story to unpack. Cindy is a former Simmer, active mostly in 2018-21, who's very influential in Sims 2 spaces. She still has an abandoned website and a YouTube channel. If you Google think about this game, her resources might be the one of the first to appear. So why I'm telling you to not click? Basically, she's a mentally ill woman who had been abusing her husband for 15 plus years of their relationship. She doesn't deserve any form of support. You can find a lot of good resources about this game, many good bots lists out here. So that's it for today's short video. Hope you get some knowledge and I hope you will enjoy this game as much as many other people do. I'll see you again very soon.